Alright, today we're going to be going over how to install MSD two-step launch controller for pretty much every LS EFI based engine out there. While I'm showing you this, I'm going to elaborate on how to install a shift light tach, or an aftermarket tach if you will, seeing as how I already have kind of torn apart for that to be looked into, and kind of show you the basics over that as well. So getting started, the hardest part I guess for this MSD two-step controller is to find out where you want to mount it, because it is very plug and play. It's very simple. Now I chose to mount mine over here on the passenger side of the vehicle. Some people like to mount theirs over there on the driver's side of the vehicle, to each of their own. I chose over here. Okay, so let's get started. Now your big long wire here that's going to obviously come out of the two-step, you're going to run it through over here, plug it in to your actual coil packs on both sides. Now the one side, you're going to come on over here, unplug your factory connector that goes into your coil pack, plug in the MSD, take the factory wire that plugs typically into your coil pack, plug it into the MSD two-step. Very simple. You're going to do that on the driver's side as well. Now this is where I guess people typically get kind of confused on how to have it activate, and what wire to use and what to do. Now you're going to have two wires coming out of here. The solid blue wire here with this pig connector here is ground source to activate your two-step. Now however, I am not going to use the ground, so I tuck it up under here and kind of hide the wire. I'm using the white and blue wire, which is a 12-volt source, to activate my two-step. And so it's going to come with the connector here with a solid blue wire to run your source for. Now I had some excess wire left over because I chose to mount mine on the passenger side here, as well as I guess some people like to mount theirs to the clutch switch up under their dash and run it through the firewall, which I choose not to because it's kind of more work than needed, and I've figured out a much easier way of doing this. Now I run this source wire here up into my factory harness here, one to protect the wire, two to give a clean look. Now I bridge it up into here, up and over and into the top half of your ECU here. You're going to want to go into number 32. Now there's some small numbers that you probably really can't see, but they're right here. Number 32 is a gray source wire. Okay. Now you're going to want to be careful because there is many gray source wires that come out of the top half of this. So what I do is I peel away this harness here, find 32, and I wiggle it around to make sure it's moving down there, as you can tell, out of 32. Okay. Now I cut and splice open the wire, peel back the wire here, feed in my source wire, I solder it in, heat shrink it, you're good to go. Okay, that's pretty much the install of the MSD, and then you can just activate it, and off the left side here is for your RPMs by the thousandths, and then off to the right side is a knob to dial in by hundreds. Pretty simple. So while I got this torn apart, I'm going to go over how to install an aftermarket tach. Now on a tach, you're going to have a green wire, a white wire, a black wire, and a red wire. Your green wire is your source wire. Okay, those are your main wires. Now your green source wire, you're going to run into the bottom side of the ECU over here in number 10. It's a white wire that comes out. Now be careful because there is many white wires as there was gray wires up in here. So once again, you're going to want to make sure it is number 10 and that you're tapping into, and do the same thing. Peel the wire back, solder it, heat shrink it, and you're good to go. Now this is a black wire. We talked about a green wire. However, my factory tach didn't have long enough green wire to reach clear into here, so I had to splice in this black wire. This essentially is attached to the green wire that comes off your tach. Okay, now how you want to run that is up to you. I've got mine. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail how that's all ran because that's going to take forever. That's the main setup of how you're going to install that. Now I can elaborate a little bit more on how to hook up the tach. Now this off here. Now in this heater vent here is the white wire I was also talking about that will come out of your tach. You can also see the red and the black. The black is ground, the red is, so you're just going to ground that out. Your red wire I have hooked to my ignition, so it comes on when the key is an accessory. Now, your white wire here, just tap it right into here, so when you actually turn your lights on, it actually illuminates the tach. So pretty simple and basic on the tach as well. Now, on the LS engines, the way their ignition setup is, you have to actually run it, I believe is what they call it, as a 4-cylinder because of the way they run it. Now, I don't know if you can see, but you have to cut that wire. You have 2 looped wires. Let me see if I can get a better angle of it. Through the back here. You have 2 looped wires that come out of the back of your tach. A brown wire and a blue wire. Brown wire is over there, as you can tell. The blue wire is right there. You snip that in half, okay? That way, because if you leave it hooked up, it's going to throw your tach reading off, okay? So leave the brown wire just the way it's supposed to be. You don't do anything with it. The blue wire there, you're going to snip. So pretty simple. That's logistics of how to do it. Let's fire it up, and I'll kind of let you hear the 2-step and how that works.